Have you ever wondered what it's like, what advice you could take, who you need to become to be a seven-figure doctor, to make seven figures in your practice? So if you're making no money right now, if you're making $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 per month, and you want to become a seven-figure chiropractor, this episode is perfect for you. In this episode, I share with you the 7 lessons, the 7 myths, the 7 problems that I see in the chiropractic profession today that is keeping you poor and is keeping you broke. So if you want to have a chance to make more money, spend more time with your family, and finally build the business of your dreams, this episode is perfect for you. And just before I get into the episode, if you're finally ready to do this thing correctly, we've helped over 300 chiropractors in the country make on average over $200,000 more per year in revenue before they started. So if that is interesting to you, please go into the show notes, click the link and schedule a call with our team, and we'll see you on the other side.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe.
All right, so number 1, your JNAP scheduler loses you 6 figures per year. So I want to take a step back here with marketing in general. I think that one of the problems that people have when they think about marketing their business, specifically online, is that they oftentimes only consider the people that said yes or took the action they want. But the real problem, the deeper problem, is we have no idea about the people that said no or weren't ready yet. And so think about it like this. Let's imagine you're going on a hike and you have to hike over a big river. And on the other side of the river is gold. The problem right now, though, is there is no bridge to get you from one side of the river to the gold. And what you need is you desperately need somebody somewhere to do something that's going to help build that bridge. If you can build a bridge, fine. If you can bring in a contractor, fine. If the gods will spray down a new bridge for you so you can walk across and get that gold, you're going to be absolutely fine. But to think that you're going to walk up to this body of water and just magically appear and get that gold is crazy. Many times in marketing, we have to think about it the same way. And if you think about your Instagram page as an example, when you have only a scheduling app or someone is going to schedule an appointment with you, you are assuming that someone's going to get to the edge of the cliff and be able to just jump over that water and arrive at that pot of gold. Here's what I mean. If you understand the psychology of any buyer that's buying anything, it doesn't matter if it's your services, it doesn't matter if it's a new shirt, it doesn't matter if it's a membership to a country club, it doesn't matter if it's makeup, you have to understand that not everyone today will be ready yet. See, we just believe, because of the way that healthcare has gone over the last 20, 30, 40 years, that when a doctor refers a patient or when a patient has a back problem, they are immediately going to be ready to dive headfirst right into your treatment. They're going to go from, I don't have a problem and I don't know anything about it, to me being a customer in your company. But the world has changed. Prices have gone up, health insurance costs has gone up, reimbursement has gone down. Many people don't take health insurance anymore. And what's happened is that the consumers are skeptical, and you have many skeptical buyers. And so when you have a skeptical buyer, you have to understand and have empathy for that customer on the other end to understand that they have a problem today, but they might not be ready yet to become your customer, to pay you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a plan of care. And they might need something in between to help build that layer of trust. And so if you have a link in your Instagram that directly goes to a scheduling app in Jane app, and you want someone to book and you want someone to schedule, what you're saying is you are either ready to go with me today or you're not coming in. What I think needs to happen is you have to be able to build that bridge I talked about before. How do you do that? You do that with an ability for them to opt in, to get emails, to get content, to schedule a call, to do something before they actually make an appointment on your schedule. You see, I think sometimes chiropractors and rehab chiros specifically, they don't really have empathy for the customer on the other end. Because I go on some of these Jane app schedulers that says, first appointment, you're going to get dry needling and cupping and all of that. And as I think about it from the customer perspective, I'm like, that's all scary. That all sounds ridiculous. You're going to poke me with needles? You're going to dry rub my leg? What am I, a piece of brisket? What am I doing? And so as you search your Jane app and you think that people just are going to know what initial evaluation is, you think they're going to know what dry needling is, if you think they know what a comprehensive physical is, all they're going to think about is why this won't work for me. They're going to think why they're skeptical. They're going to think that this isn't a good option. They're going to think that they don't trust that this person. And if you don't build the bridge for them with some version of a free report or an opt-in or something else that's going to get that person to start slowly stair-stepping across that river and onto the other side where the gold is, you're never going to get the customers. You see, here's the stat. We know that 3% of customers are ready to buy now, which means that if you have a Jane App scheduler on your Instagram, that means that statistically 97 people that arrive at that page are going to click off it and you never knew they existed. I just live in a world to think that if 97% of people are going to click off it, is there a world in which I can capture 7% more and get 10? Because I know over the course of the next 1, 3, 5, 7 years, every 100 customers that come in, I'm going to get 7 more than everybody else. But if you continue to have a Jane App scheduler where they're either not in or they're in, you're going to be losing 97% of the customers and have no idea where they went. Second, you aren't too expensive, you just can't sell. So I talk to people all the time in wherever, all over the US, Canada, Singapore. I mean, it doesn't matter. We have clients everywhere. And it's magical that everywhere that their prices are too expensive and where they come from, their clients won't pay that price. But then they often tell me that I'm in an affluent area. And then I ask them like what else their clients do. And magically they find money to go to Disney World. Well, have you seen the prices at Disney World? You can't, as a matter, there are people out there that don't have the money. That's a fact. But if you actually want to make yourself sick, the people that told you they can't swing it right now, go look at where they're spending their money. I would love for you to figure out how many times they go out to eat per month. I would love for you to think what the family vacation they go on. I would love to know how many people put their kid in private school, how many of them belong to gyms, how many of them go to the mall and buy new things and stuff. Because the reality is everything is figure outable. And if you have people that are telling you it's too expensive and they don't have it right now and they don't have the money and they have to do all these things, the problem is that it's not that they don't have the money. It's that you haven't been able to sell and communicate the value of what you do. And they are either going to find a cheaper option or do nothing about it. And if you don't adopt this mentality in your practice and in your business, you're going to always lose because you will live in a world for the next 40 years just thinking everything is always expensive. Next one. They don't want to use their insurance. You just haven't given them the reason not to. So in my mastermind, I teach a sales framework that is a 5 objection framework. That is at the highest level, there are only 5 reasons why people will say no to care. Now they'll tell you it's their husband and they'll tell you it's their wife and they'll tell you their kids and they'll tell you it's insurance. They'll tell you all these things. But the reality is at a higher level, if you want to play like a better game, it's understanding that there are 5 principles as to why people say no. And in that situation, one of the obstacles they will tell you is that I need to go use my insurance. And if you don't take my insurance, I'm going to go find a provider that does. But what we would call that in our 5 objection framework is we call that value for unique solution. Value for unique solution. And what value for unique solution is helping someone to understand that the reason they're saying no is simply because they see you just like a cheaper option. And so if I use a different example, that there's a $400,000 house and a $1 million house, and let's just say you go and buy the $400,000 house. There's another person that might buy the $1 million house. And in that situation, we have 2 things that are exactly the same. They are both a shelter, they are a dwelling, they are a home. But one is $1 million and one is $400,000. The person that buys the $1 million home, they have value for unique solution, that there is a unique solution that the house provides that is more expensive, independent of price. And so when someone shops you to go to use their insurance, what they're telling you is not that you don't take their insurance, it's that you haven't given them a good enough reason to not use their insurance. You haven't given them a good enough reason not to use their insurance. And so I just live in a world to help people understand where it isn't that it's too expensive. It isn't that we don't take insurance. It's that my job is to help you understand in any way possible why it is absolutely the best option for you and your health and your well-being to come to my business, independent whether I take insurance or whether I'm the cheapest option. Next, they don't have a busy schedule. They have stronger priorities. Nobody is that busy. Let me take you into the worst example, but the best example. You are in healthcare. Now imagine if you were an oncologist and you saw people with cancer, and the next time you had an appointment was next Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. and you had work and you had your kids practice and you had all these different things, but that was the only time you could go to see the oncologist. Magically, your schedule will get very unbusy. Why? Because you've determined that that is a priority to fight cancer, and that's the only time you can see the doctor. And so in that extreme example, what we realize is that everybody can say they are busy, but what they're actually telling you is the thing that you're asking them to do isn't a priority for them. I'd imagine for you guys that have kids, I'm really busy. I got a really busy schedule until your kid gets sick and they need you. And magically what happens? You go and find time to go be with them because that's what a parent does, because that's the priority. And so when you get customers that tell you, I can't spend an hour with you once a week, I don't have time for this, I'm going to have to cancel my appointment. That is untrue. It is not that they don't have time. It is that it is not a priority. And again, it goes back. It is your job as the provider to help them see why it should be a provider. Now, if you don't think you're a priority, then we have to have a different conversation. Next, letting patients choose their service is why chiros are a joke to other medical providers. You know, you go to chiro school, and one of the things that happens is there's chiropractors come out and, you know, the joke of the fake doctor and the quackery and all of that. And the people that listen to this podcast and people I work with, they're trying to fight that. But the reality is there's a level of an inferiority complex of not being a medical doctor that still exists in our world. And knowing that exists and then seeing how chiropractors treat their business, I can see it because we just perpetuate this. Nobody's going to take you seriously if you act like this. If you run a business that is closer to a fast food restaurant than a doctor's office, then what do you expect people to think about you? I mean, if you are going to be a doctor as a chiropractor, as any profession, and you were just going to say, hey, yeah, do you want 4 sessions or 8 sessions? Do you want dry needling or do you want scraping? Or do you want like a 15-minute dry needle or 30-minute recovery session? Like I'll go to Chipotle and they're going to ask me if I want queso on the side. Like that's what this is. You have become a fast food restaurant. If you're lucky, a fast casual restaurant. For the most part, most of you, it's a Big Mac or double Big Mac. Or do you want fries with that? Do you want double Diet Coke? Like this is who you are. If you're letting patients choose their service, like how do you think they view you? You're a joke. You're an absolute joke. I don't know about you, but like when I go to the doctor and if I had something going on, I want them to be strong and say like, hey, based on what's going on, I've seen this 1,000 times. My recommendation is you take this medicine, this medicine, this medicine. You follow up in 2 weeks, and then we're going to start rehab on this, 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 and this. Okay, like I'm confident now. Imagine if they came in and said, hey, yeah, so you kind of have this ailment going on, and would you like medicine? Nah, yeah, what do you, well, you can take nah. Hey, do you think maybe you should start rehab? No, I'm not going to start. No, well, hey, do you want this medicine or this? I don't know. You're the doctor. Tell me what I need. Do you want to follow up in 2 weeks? I don't know. Do I need to follow up in 2 weeks? Well, let's just see how it goes. I don't want to see how it goes. I want to get an outcome. And so if you are living in a world you're if I go on your website or I go on your scheduler and it's like, do you want a 15-minute follow-up or a 30-minute follow-up? Do you want a 30-minute follow-up or an hour? Are you kidding me? Like if you are going to be a doctor and you're going to say, yeah, my patients, they don't have time for an hour. They don't have time for an hour? Do they have time to get better? Have you communicated to them why it's in their best interest? Have you recommended something to them and they said no? At some point, are you going to let them walk all over you and you're going to let them treat you like you're a second, third, fourth, fifth class citizen? Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Finally, sales isn't sleazy. Letting patients walk who need you is. So when people tell me that they're uncomfortable with sales, I used to get frustrated with it, but now I'm genuinely curious, understanding what I know now. And this is what I walk them through. Like, yeah, they say, oh, this person, they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to pay. And I said, okay, like, can I just ask, when they were sitting in your office and then they said no, what happened next? And they said, well, they left. And I said, well, what happened after that? They're like, I'm not really sure. And so then tell me why you're scared of sales. Well, I don't like it because I don't think you should sell. And I feel uncomfortable asking for money. I said, okay, I understand and respect that. But now the opposite end of this is, instead of selling to them, you let them walk when they needed your help. And now you don't even know what happened to them, where they went, if they got care, what type of care they're getting. But most likely they're not doing anything about it. And you feel good about that? You feel good about that? That you knew they needed them deep down in your soul, that they need you, and you feel good about letting them walk, and you didn't even care to have a conversation with them about it, why it's in their best interest? I don't know about you, but that feels quite sleazy to me. And so just walk me through this situation. Someone comes in to you and says, listen, like, I'm not going to work with you. It's too expensive. And you look at them and they have sciatica down their leg and they're starting to get drop foot. And you're saying, yeah, okay, well, I'm here when you need me. And they walk out. And then 6 months later, you hear that they have surgery when you knew they were a non-surgical case. You're telling me that's not sleazy? You're telling me that's not sleazy? I mean, what world are we living in where we think that not selling someone as much as we can with as much passion as possible to let them know how we can help them and why it's in their best interest to be under our care and why we are the best option for them in our community, and that they should go nowhere else other than see us, because the other options aren't going to help them as much, or they're going to choose to do nothing, most likely scenario. And then who wins then? Nobody. And so you could tell me sales is sleazy, but the opposite, the alternative, seems like more sleazy than anything to me. The problem really is that you're uncomfortable and your ego gets in the way, that you don't want to be told no. But at some point, if you're going to build a business, you have to care more about the customer than you care about your own ego. And if you can't get past that, you're always going to struggle in business, because you're always going to be uncomfortable about being told no. You're always going to be uncomfortable being direct with people. You're always going to be uncomfortable when someone questions your price and says you're too expensive. But what's the opposite option? Hey, I love them, but they're really cheap. It's like, I don't want to be called cheap. But the bottom line is, if you think sales is sleazy, then I always have to ask what the opposite option is. Because if the other option other than sales is not selling, and someone walks out and chooses not to do anything about their problem, or chooses to see a provider that you don't believe is good enough for what their case is, then who's the sleazy one now? And so here, the advice for me, the JNAP scheduler losing 6 figures per year, that you aren't too expensive, you can't sell. It's not that they want to use insurance. You just haven't given them a reason not to. They don't have a busy schedule. They just have stronger priorities. Letting patients choose their service is why chiros are a joke to other medical providers, and sales isn't sleazy. Letting patients walk who need you is. So those are 7 lessons from me, now a 7-figure rehab chiropractor, that I just hope and pray that you choose to listen to and implement. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, please go into the show notes, click a link, book a call with our team. In this call, we're going to help you see what the biggest issue in your business is, how we might be able to help, and give you your best next steps to grow your business, build your life, make more money, spend more time with your family, and finally build the business of your dreams. I will see you on the other side.